Hello, welcome to the stream. How we all doing today? Well, I hope everyone's having a good time so far. I've got some fresh painting, a new camera setup a little bit here, which is going to be fun. I know nobody's super interested in the technical side of things, but I think I've got my camera and light set up a lot better this time. So, we are going to be painting OC from my D&D campaign that I'm running. Her name is Basilica, and she is Valkyrie. Well, formally, but that's story, part of the story. This is the model we have. Now, I'm going to see if I can keep my camera from going all over the place. But this is the model I'm working with. I printed it in pieces. She's supposed to have an arm and a bow and a fourth wing in the back. But with how complicated this print was and how complicated the painting's going to be, I really wanted to do her in sections. And we're actually going to start with this piece, which is a scaled up version of her head. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't know how to do her hair. And I don't want to try to figure that out while I'm working in this teeny tiny little space. I've got a practice piece right here. This is basically what I'm going for with the wings. The top here was not quite what I wanted it to have happen, so I'm going to be winging that a little bit differently this time. Winging it. That was not intentional fun. And we may be doing a lot of kind of prep test on this one. This one had a failed print in the back here. But the plan is to test stuff out on here, learn what I'm doing on the test head here, and then use this main model as the actual end result. So, you're listening to Gavin Dunn, aka Miracle of Sounds, in the background. You can find all that base standard stuff in the description and stuff below. You were also listening to StreamBeats, put together by Harris Heller. So, some nice DMCA free music that we can utilize here, so that we're not getting copyright struck. Yeah, and I am super excited to be listening to Gavin today, because that's what I've really been wanting to listen to. Alrighty, let's see, what else do we need to cover? Maybe just covering this a little bit, get the light a little bit more set up. There we go. Okie dokie. So let's get started. I think we are going to be starting with working on this headpiece here. I basically know, I really like how the wings came out on this, and so I'm definitely going to be I'm pretty much just going to be replicating this here. This one, I don't really like how the hair came out, so we're going to be trying to figure this out. I'm making this a little bit better. I think what I'm going to do, I need some way to hold this without it without my fingers getting too close to it. So I'm trying to see if there is, what do I have around here that could work. Yeah, we're just going to use this. So we're just going to do the good old some good old hacking, and we're just going to throw a little bit of super glue on the end of this and see if we can just tack this on here real quick. And if we can get this to stick, oh yeah, that's sticking nice. That will give us a nice piece we can use while we paint, and then we can just snap it off when we're done. It was just a practice piece. And it's too big, too. So, this is at half again as big for the hair. So, let's start by mixing some paint. I think we're trying to go with blonde, and blonde's kind of hard to do. So, what we're going to be trying to work with here is we've got some burnt sienna, we've got some toffee brown, we've got some spice tan, and my hope is that if I do a base with this and then follow it up with maybe a yellow that's been messed with a little bit, we can get a decent hair color. So I'm going to start with pretty much as simple as we can get. I'm just going to take some of this, what is this, spice tan? Yeah, I'm going to take some of the spice tan and see if we can just get a nice little base coat going. Not anticipating needing a huge amount of this. We're going to go with this guy to start with. Yeah, I need to... My brushes are getting a little bit worn. So, oop, you do not bump the camera. I mean, heck, with this color right here, I'm actually pretty happy with it. Just, my initial look here is looking pretty good. Let's see, I'm a little bit far away from you, aren't I? There we go. And then my hope is that we just like effectively dry brush some yellow on top of this, and we can fake a blonde. There we go. And if we can do that, that is gonna be very handy. Put that back down, and we're going to take some of the, where is my medium flesh? Just how the Urukai like it. Do not guarantee that my sense of humor will not be dark. Okay. One moment. Alright, there we go. Here we are. So now we're going to be trying to do a little bit of covering some of the face, just seeing how this works. So something that I've been told to kind of help with... Ooh, I really like having this kind of spike to work with. Is kind of pinning your palm together. Nah, I'm out of frame, aren't I? There you go. Kind of pinning your palms together to get a nice painting base for just some nice quality here. Hey, MJ. I await your judgment. Man, this is already coming out pretty well. The problem with doing blondes is it's really hard to make the hair not look incredibly unnatural. So that's part of the issue that we're dealing with. Alright. But even then, that's already looking way better than some of my original attempts. I should really make sure that I have all of my bases covered, for socials before I start streaming. Man, that's already looking so much better. Nice. So also one thing that I like doing is after I put down the first kind of layer of paint, and let it dry. If I'm still seeing kind of shiny bits, I will just go through with a dry brush and start brushing that stuff away to just help it dry faster. So yeah. And as always, if you hear the music is too loud or my voice is too loud, just let me know, and I can readjust the balance. Cool, this is already going so much better than I thought it was going to. Okay, I'm gonna throw in another layer of this kind of tan and see what we got here. Okay, in camera, there we go. So, big shout out to Gavin Dunn, aka Miracle of Sound, because he is, I found him a long time ago. He's one of my favorite independent artists. He's out of Ireland, and he has made all of his music free and available to stream for streaming music. So no DMCAs, open license, and I absolutely love his music. See, I don't think I actually need to use a smaller brush. He is quite the boss. And this song, all of his music is based off of video games and such, nerdy material. And he, this one is off of Sekiro, or Sekiro, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I'm actually not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, but good game, very hard, made by the same people who made Dark Souls and Demon Souls. It is very good, but very difficult. And, but anyway, his music is, I love this kind of like rock and roll style that he does, that heavily uses ethnic instruments and stuff like that. It's one of my favorites. I know I'm working on some stuff that's a little bit small right now. Apologies for that. But I found if I stick this spike into my wood table here, wood desk, it actually stays pretty steady. This song's from Devil May Cry. Maybe not my personal style, but it definitely has the energy. Okay, we are going to be dry brushing on here pretty soon. Let's see. Man, I really need this camera to focus better. The unfortunate reality of using a inexpensive webcam. Well, I'm definitely going to be using this technique more, because this helps a ton to have the individual parts, yeah, I think that music's actually too loud for me. The individual parts printed and painted separately. It just really helps. Okay, that's looking really pretty good. Okay. And we just need to let that dry a little bit. Well, thankfully, I know what we're going to be doing with some of the other stuff here. I made a list here. Okay. So, for this wing... Oh, apparently we need to move this up a little bit. So this wing we pretty much just need to base coat white and layer kind of these off yellow or off white, off yellow into a more what'd you call it? Saturated yellow, and then into a yellow and burnt sienna into a full burnt sienna dry brush. And that creates this kind of sense of kind of a gold without without being too bad. Or excuse me, a sense of gold without having a oh, I'm off camera again. This kind of sense of gold without a metallic or like an actual glow. Jeez. How am I going to... No, actually, now that I think about it, I think I'm actually going to have to... Yep, I'm going to have to try this first. I need my little spike if I'm going to be painting this wing properly. A little bit of yellow there. We're going to be using a lot of yellow here. So, dry brushing, you want to get yourself nice and saturated into the brush, and then wipe it off until you're hardly getting anything off the brush. And then just lightly brush it on top. Let the nearly dry paint just kind of slide off, just dusting. I guess that's what I found that works. I am definitely no expert. Apart from getting that a little bit too yellow. I don't know, I think that might actually be as good as we're gonna get. I'm not sure if yellow is actually the best color here. I'm gonna have to think about that. It's not bad, but the yellow ends up turning kind of this sickly color, which just doesn't look so great. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is we are going to reapply that tan to get that base layer down again. As I said, this is why we're doing this here, because I don't want to be trying to do this on the actual mini. And we just need to let that dry again, and we're good. It is a Bloodborne song. Again from what are they called? I'm trying to remember what the company's called. But they made all the Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, all that stuff. Sekiro. Okay. It's nice and dry. So I think our next color. Ooh. Brown and yellow are not mixing well. So I think what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna try putting a little white in with that tan, and see if we can just do the classic lightning trick and just use that to highlight. And yeah, it's not going to look super blonde, but it's actually going to look realer than if we just did yellow. Let's see what we get here. And this is just going to be our dry brush color. Which again means we just kind of have to wait for that to dry. That's a little bit too wet, so we're going to hold off there real quick. Yeah, probably set my dry brush a little bit too soon. Ugh. I'm hoping that this doesn't take a huge amount of time, this go around. Anyway, while we're waiting for that, this is what I got. This is her bow, and arm that we're going to be doing. This one's going to be interesting because this one's probably going to be like an orange and burnt sienna, I'm guessing, because it's supposed to be this kind of bronze color, but I don't actually have any bronze metallics. So we're going to have to see how that goes. And I'm still trying to figure out the rest of her color palette, because I think what it's going to be is variations on brown of this kind of this metallic here for the shin guards and the breastplate, but and then also some of the forearms. But the rest of that's going to be probably browns, because her color palette is kind of warm colors like golds and browns and, you know, maybe an orange. I'm not sure. So we'll see how that goes. You ready to dry brush yet? Close enough. You are practice material. Okay, significantly lighter version. Let's see, it's actually... We are getting some depth there. Let's see. I may need to drop some. I may have to restart the stream here real quick. Yeah. Give me a second. I need to stop and restart the stream. Okay, we should be back up and running. I was running into some bandwidth issues, so drop the resolution just a little bit. So hopefully, oof, we are. There we go. That's a little bit better. All right. Yeah. That was good as we're gonna get, I think. Okay. Yeah. YouTube keeps giving me errors. Anyway, okay. Well, this gives us a very nice light brown, but it doesn't quite give us the gold I was looking for. So, I think we might actually just have our yellow be a little bit too yellow. So let's try lightening up our yellow a little bit. I will do a white and yellow mix and see what that gets us. this goes. So hopefully, with this being less yellow, we'll get a better color. Oh, that, yeah, I think that's a lot better. That's definitely going to differentiate it from her skin. Do I actually like that, though? It's not bad. Go. Let's see. This is on. There we go. Okay. Looks like this is working. Okay. Let's see if we can do another. We need to do another stream restart. Real quick. Okay, hopefully this will fix some of my problems. Running into technical errors. Gotta love it. And hopefully the stream will catch back up. Okay, so the question really is here, do we want any yellow in this hair? And I just can't tell. I just can't tell if it looks terrible or not. But we will see. We will see. Okay, that looks better. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Trying to get resolutions and bit rates to work properly. Yay, technology. Okay. Legit, I just can't tell if this looks good or if it looks terrible. And so I'm just gonna try to not think about it and go, this is probably the best I'm gonna be able to do. So, we're just gonna go for it. So, in that case, we're gonna pop this off. And we are gonna start working on this wing. Alright, so we're going to be working on this wing. I'm going to see if I can get this all the way done as kind of like my final test concept of this final piece. So where do I want to attach this? Probably off of here. Okay. Alright, Super Glue, don't fail me now. I am so glad that I get to listen to Gavin today. Come on, Super Glue. I think I have too much on there. I think that actually might be too small of a piece. Okay. I may just have to freehand this. means my fingers are just gonna get painted. Okay, so I have had problems using white as base coat before. So what I'm actually going to use is this yellow, white, off-white as my base coat. And white will take to this so much better than just off the basic plastic. But yep, this is gonna be painted fingers day, I have a feeling. So Basilica is an interesting character to me. Story time. Because she is, as I said, she's a OC, original character, out of the D&D game that I'm running. And she started out as just one of those, like, mystery characters. Legitimately, like, the first thing I want, like, the core of the idea was, well, twofold. Is I had this really cool piece of, it was actually a statue that I saw on Pinterest of this kind of robed archer. And I was like, that's really cool. And I was working on kind of cosmology stuff and with in the lore, and I was like, you know what, it'll be really cool, because I had already been messing around with this idea of Valkyrie. I was like, wouldn't it be really cool if you had all these Valkyrie, but you know, they were kind of a group, but they were weren't necessarily complete. They were all off doing different things and stuff like that. And I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if one was like petrified, and that this statue that I had seen wasn't you know, statuary, it was actually a petrified person, which, you know, relatively easy to have happen in D&D. And so I went ahead and put this statue in a place where the party was going to be going. And they found her. It was in a basilisk lair. And so they're like, oh, this might be a person that was frozen by basilisks, or petrified by basilisks. They were able to unpetrify her. And when she woke up, she had no memory. She had no clue who she was. But she just had this bow, which was a magical item. And the party just adopted her. And actually, that comes to the second part, the second thing that I was wanting to mess around with, which is the concept of, I like giving players a character that has no official name, and just let the party name them. Because I think that's really interesting. I love seeing what people came up with. And so, considering that she was found in a basilisk lair, the name of Basilica was created. And so, she became Basilica. They quickly found out that she was a very competent archer, and were kind of adopted her. And when they came back, they found that she was in this. They were kind of put on the clock between multiple different events, and she pretty much they ended up choosing a few other things, but they ultimately kind of went on a quest for her to get her, air quotes, wings back. And that was representing kind of like what made her an angel, because when they found her, she pretty much just looked human, and she had no angelic qualities. And so they went and tried to find where her wings were, which she kind of had a sense for. And, you know, they got there, they found some fiend that was in the process of trying to kind of absorb the, you know, an old enemy's fiend that she had fought before but failed to kill, and he was trying to absorb the wings that she had, which was kind of this mantle of divine energy that she had given up in the past. So now we're going to throw some white on here. This is mostly done. And in... I didn't clean my brush. Silly me. So yeah, they beat the bad guy, they got the wings back, she was able to kind of reabsorb them, and she started to remember who she was, and she was a Valkyrie, and that played into a lot of different elements of the narrative, because a lot of this campaign had to do with, or has been to do with, a event where the prime material plane got cut off from the other planes, and any creature that was from a different plane that was on Dawn when this event happened became an actual, like, denizen, belonged to that plane. You know, in D&D there's a lot of spells that say, hey, if this creature is not native to this plane, then XYZ happens. And pretty much when this event happened, anybody who was on Dawn became a native of that plane. Whether you originated there or not. And so Basilica, because she was technically a statue when this event happened, she became a native of this plane, and at least in my kind of D&D universe, creatures that are native to a plane, by requirements, by necessity, have its alignment, and kind of have to live according to it. And so, you know, angels have to be lawful good. But the first significant portion of her character arc is she, for the first time, had free will and free choice. And she was trying to grapple with that, because the idea of, wait, I could actually make a wrong choice now? Especially for someone who was a Valkyrie, someone who was this angel of war. The concept of being fallible was kind of terrifying to her. And it took a lot of conversations and interactions for the party to convince her that she was... convince her, and then also show how to be moral without being kind of bound by knowing what was absolutely right and wrong. And that was the first part of that story. Because what ended up happening is they started running into other angels that had became native to Dawn, and they were, let's say, a little messed up in the head, because they thought that they were absolutely right. They were lawful good, and anything that they did had to be good, because that was who they were. And, well, she ended up getting her free will taken away from her at one point, and they had to rescue her, defeat the bad guy or whatever, but it created a nice contrast for the... We're just letting this coat dry. This interesting contrast for her as a character. Do you know anything about... I think I can actually start base coating this stuff over here. A nice contrast, because it showed what she could have become. And that I think is really cool. So I think in storytelling, having contrast characters is a good idea. I've heard it said a lot that a good villain, or a type of good villain, is the mirror of a hero. So the villain is the hero's shadow. They are everything that the hero is, but in a bad sense. Uh, Maybe the hero is, you know, a charismatic leader that, you know, always does the right thing, and so the villain is also a charismatic leader but doesn't always do the right thing and really uses their power for ill. And another one is, you know, a villain that really emphasizes a weakness of the hero, or whatever. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but in this sense I really wanted to have a villain that really was the opposite of Basilica. I'm trying to clean up some of the interior bits here. Yep. This is going to take way too long if I just ramble and try to overclean things. So, let's get this base coat again. So anyway, that was a really interesting, to me, a really interesting narrative, because it showed what Basilica could have become if it weren't for the party, and kind of showing that, I think, is really satisfying to players. Because you go, like, you actually see, you don't just go, oh, that's cool that we saved you or whatever, and not really think about it again. It's way more of a, hey, you actually saved this person, and this is what they would have become, and shown that in game, really show the consequences of those actions. And this guy, Zagreus was his name, was messed up. Probably one of my favorite villains so far. And he was just spoilers, they killed him. But that was just a good contrast of, he looked like an angel, he looked like a hero, but his actions did not show that. And that was actually another kind of subplot of that story, is that not all villains look like villains, and not all and not all heroes look like heroes, because they ran into some other kind of anti-hero characters who looked fiendish, who actually were fiendish, but once they became, you know, one character was a Cambion whose mother was a succubus, and she got locked on this prime material plane and became a native of it, and then was able to have free will, and she actually chose good, and then had this kid, and so he looks like this fiend, red skin, horns, you know, can inherently charm people and stuff like that. And he's a hero. He's effectively a hero that goes around killing monsters and monstrous people who are evil in their cores, even if they don't look it. And so having this Cambion who has a fiendish bloodline, looks like a monster, hunting humans who act like monsters even if they don't look like them, was put in direct contrast with Zagreus, who looked like a hero, spoke like a hero, and for all intents and purposes really appeared to be one. But when you actually really started looking at what he was doing, you were realizing that Zagreus was a villain, and this Cambion dude was a hero. And even though they didn't look like it, and that contrast I really liked, and that played into Basilica's backstory too. She looks like a hero and acts like one, but who they were fighting was not not a hero, even if he looked like it. So anyway, I'm trying to get this base code in. I'm trying to cycle through my base code so that we actually make some good progress here. I don't want to take another 5 hours to do these. So I think Another pretty solid base coat. The insides are looking pretty good. And I think our open piece here, it's looking pretty good, but I need to get all the wet paint out of the cracks. Because I need another solid white base coat. That's the thing that I've been running into with white, is that it's just not opaque enough. And I really need it to be absolutely white when I start. And if I've got this little residual paints sitting in these cracks here, it's not gonna be fun. It's gonna mix in. Alright. What else can I base coat here? If anything. So we're gonna have some interesting angles to try to paint here. Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I think what I really want to work with is this kind of burnt sienna brown as kind of being the base for her, kind of this almost leather color. So I'm going to try putting that on anything that's not going to be silver. I want to try to do that. So, or not silver, kind of the gunmetal metallic. So she has a shirt, pants, and tunic thing. Whew. I always see the pants as being darker. What about the tunic? Well, we'll see. I think it makes sense to make the kind of the lower part of the model darker. Keep the brighter stuff up top. Again, we're just kind of base coating here. It doesn't matter if we're a little bit sloppy. I like to try to get everything base coated first. I think that is conventional wisdom. I have found it to be pretty accurate. More Great Gavin. One of the things that I really want to make sure I don't do is confuse my color palette. And I don't mean like my actual physical color palette, but the color palette of the character, of what colors I use where. Because I was thinking doing a blue tunic that pokes out under the armor, which would be kind of cool. But that might confuse the palette a little bit. Oh, I think this might be where we actually go with the lighter tan. And then we edge it with something interesting. Okay, let's see. We need some more of that. What was it? Toffee brown? Yeah. Was that right? Oh, nope. That was wrong. So that's what we're using for the hair. Well, I don't know. That might be a good distinction there. Yeah, we're gonna try that. This should also help distinguish clothing from hair. Because the hair is kind of has that toffee. Was it the hair has a the spice tan? So if we go with the toffee brown here, that should help distinguish clothing from hair and skin. I wish I could do more of this with a larger brush, but I pretty much broke every rule for this model when I designed it for the sake of the rule of cool, pretty much. I just wanted a really dramatic pose, a really cool model, and the print on this was terrifying, and the cleanup was rough, and that's why I did it in different sections. I do know that edging is a good way of getting some contrast in here. So I don't know how I'm going to edge this. Maybe with a lighter color? I'm not sure. I might be able to even start doing some metallic base coat. I'm not sure. Then we're going to do arms up here. As again, for the area that's a little bit hard. Actually, now that I think about it, these might be even lighter. We'll have to see. Part of this may just be put some layers down, block out the color, and say, hey, does this actually work? Does this actually look right? So on and so forth. So we've got darker pants, a lighter tunic, and sleeve. And that's actually where we're going to head over to the bow here. And we are going to throw some of this on the sleeve here. The metallic I use actually does a pretty good job of covering stuff up, and so I am being a little bit liberal with how I'm applying the fabric color. Because I know I'll be able to just clean up those edges later. That up later. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, I think it's time to do another layer of white. We're going to do another white layer here and hope this actually ends up looking pretty good. Now that this is pretty much dry, and I don't have any leftover yellow in my brush this time. There we go, that's getting real nice. It's always a bummer because I really don't want to cover up too much of this detail, but in order to get an actual opaque coat, you really have to layer it. This song is inspired by the newer Tom Holland Spider-Man's "It's So Stinkin' Happy." So this is coat number 3 on the spare wing, and we're going to be going for coat number 2 on the main wings. This is actually going on pretty well. I might not need a second layer on these primary wings. We are going to need some more white. Alright, let's get some more white here. I think today we may just shoot for getting the wings done. I feel the need to marathon this out. We'll see how I'm feeling by the time we get done with them. Oh, that was too much. I had some wet yellow in there. That's unfortunate. Let's see. I have to let that dry some more. So I think the plan is effectively, I can do some base coats here and there, but really I can't do much more until the wings are done, because doing the wings is so messy that there's no point in really doing much detail elsewhere because of the because I'm just getting color everywhere else. I think if I can get the wings done, I may be able to glue on that last wing, and that will make this look a lot better at least. I think I may have to get in here with my detail brush and really add in the final details in the center pieces here. I was painting a similar model a few days ago, and getting in between these wings is a pain, and that model was a significantly larger. So I'm just like, I don't know how this is going to go. Okay. As I said, we've got some wet yellow in here. Which means I'm going to have to do another coat after this is dried. Which I'm fine with. Same with this one. Yeah, I think it's time for a new paper towel. Yeah, there we go. Make sure the brush is clean. A little more yellow. So one of the reasons I like Gavin's music so much is just the sheer variety, and he knows how to do like these kind of offbeat, not typical sounding songs, and making sure they really fit the sound of the soundtrack of the game that they come from, or maybe like a rock rendition of the same themes and stuff like that. Actually, now that I look at this, I think almost everything in here, like there's nothing that comes through the back, so I think I can actually get this detail brush and just start layering in white in there. I like that. So kind of the vibe that I'm going for with these wings is a glow, which is really hard to do with literally paint that's not giving off light. You can fake it with some techniques, and a lot of it comes down to having the whites that you need where you need them, and then the other kind of highlighting colors giving a glow to the rest. Let's see if we can get this to actually look good. Now, I'm sure I could cheat on some of these angles, but I don't really feel like it. I want to make sure this is a pretty thorough paint job here. Yeah, as I said, I'll be able to come back through here with the metallics and stuff like that to make sure all the edges are crisp and stuff like that. Behind this elbow is gonna be the rough one. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna dry brush any of this if if at all. So the hope is maybe I can just kind of fake this stuff. I think after this, and after I'm done painting this, I might. I'm gonna decide if I want to watch something or play something. I've been playing a lot of Legends of Runeterra, which is the card game that was released for League of Legends by Riot, and I'm trying to decide if it's actually good for my mental health, because I get kind of salty with that game, and I'm not someone who gets salty about games. But I do really like the League of Legends universe and lore, because, believe it or not, League of Legends has lore now. And I like the art, and I like the style, and they've done a lot to make everything like that better, and they've done a lot of that work in Legends of Runeterra. So it'll be cool to. It's been cool to see kind of what's been going on there, and see how they've been developing stuff through their events and stuff like that. Games have changed so much in the last, well, pick any period of time, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. But, you know, this model now of kind of game services. Alright, so that, where this wing fits. As you can see, that is why I didn't want to print it there, because that would have been a pain. I'm going to have to clean that up a little bit. I'm just going to super glue it. And so she's kind of facing the intent. Is it going to stay in there? Maybe. That's the pose, which I am a big fan of. I really like it. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think it's time to start with some of the other colors. So, at least on the side piece. Yeah. So, what we're starting with here is we're gonna take a yellow white. It's equal parts yellow and white. Hey, Captain Margaret. We're going to take equal parts yellow and white and paint the edges of the wings, and then dry brush it up. And so we're going to see how that works. I've done this technique a couple times before, and so we're going to see how well this works. And if you remember correctly, we already had a spot for that combo of yellow and white, because that's actually what we base coated with. Part of the reason why I liked base coating with that yellow white is that even if there was a little bit of white that didn't quite cover it, it's still in the right color range for all of our other stuff. Okay, and this is oftentimes my mixing brush. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so we are going to start by, just kind of painting the wing tips. What's that? Oh, some chunkiness. Wingtips there. Then what we're gonna do is take a brush that doesn't even have any paint on it, and take the still wet paint and drag it up the wings. And this will really help get that glow feel going. It also helps fade this edge. So there's still plenty of white going on here. And I think this kind of arm right here, I want to dust a little bit yellow on here too. There we go. And now flip over and do the same thing again. And that will create a nice glowing effect on these wings. And I don't want to use this brush that I'm using right here just kind of as is, because it's still holding way too much paint. We use this dry one to pull in. We can do it pretty aggressively too. That will really fade the edge. Yeah, that's good. Now, one of the things that I try to pay attention to in these things is composition. And I mean that in a, how are you going to be seeing the model on the tabletop? And in this case, the top of the wings are going to be the most visible, but the inside of the wings are what's going to be kind of framing her. And so I think I want to be a little bit lighter on the color on the inside, be a little bit more aggressive on the outside wings. Okay, that's doing pretty good, and that's a pretty solid fade. Now, that's just layer 1. We're going to go into yellow, burnt sienna, and burnt sienna. So we've still got another 3 layers to go, easy. And I think what I'm realizing here is I actually want to paint this pretty quickly and pretty heavily, because I want the paint to still be pretty wet when I drag it up. Otherwise it doesn't fade properly. So as I said, I think I'm willing to make this a little bit more colored on the top than on the inside. And actually, I just remembered that I didn't actually finish base coating in here because I had yellow paint that was still wet. I think it is still wet. Wow, this is not wanting to dry. Well, I know I can do this wing. That wing's doing fine. I'll have to base coat. I'll have to do another white coat on the inside of these wings. Now, another thing that I'm kind of intentionally doing is I don't want to overwork this yellow paint. And I mean that in the sense of I don't want to try to work it into every nook and cranny, because I want that leftover bits of white to kind of give the sense that there's light coming out from inside. And that's why we really need that good white base coat to kind of sell that effect. I'm going to touch that up a little bit. Give us. Okay, we're going to see if we can really dry out this area so we can do another base coat. There we go. That's as good as we're going to get for now. Okay, cool. So now we're back to this wing. And we are going to be doing pure yellow now. Now, this pure yellow, we're going to be doing the exact same concept, but we're just going to be doing it a lot less. So we're just going to be nicking the very edges and dragging it back up. Now this yellow is pretty chunky, but I think that's fine. Like I said, just the edges of these wings, just barely. You don't want too much on it. And then we drag it up. And that, my friends, is the base coat. Everything else is going to be dry brush on top of that. So this is what we get. This is what we got. I think this is probably the most complicated bits that I do. Actually, I'm going to break my own rule here a little bit and kind of throw some more in here. So I really want to make sure this saturates. I may have not gotten enough in there. Mostly I just don't want to overdo the fade. There we go. I think actually this yellow is a little bit too chunky. So we are going to throw just a little bit of water in there. Just try to I don't need much more of it, at least for this one. Again, just getting a nice mild layer on the tip. And then we make sure that's nice and dry. We pull it in. Now, it's still weird. I still feel like there's kind of like a black undercoat, which is kind of frustrating. But there we go. Alright, so that is, I mean, I could almost see calling it there, and that's just, hey, there we go, we have angel wings. But you're not done, because I really want to cool it off a little bit. Okay, I think this is about as dry as we're going to get it. So we are going to do our final white coat on the inside here. Hopefully we don't smear any yellow anywhere. There we go. Okay, you stinker. The song actually inspired an entire plot arc in one of my games. That line right there, I'm not about to mourn the death of rock and roll, it really got me thinking about like what rock and roll represents and what might threaten that. And so I end up running a whole subplot where the musical liberties of a faction were really getting stepped on. And they're like, no. And they kind of rebelled off of that. Well, there was a lot of other nuance there. But, yeah, it was interesting. I just found it amusing that I just stole all of it off of this one song. Okay. We're doing rinse and repeat on like 4 different wings, which both have 2 sides. Actually, before we start on this, I need to go check on something, so I will be right back. So, please enjoy the music while I am gone. There we go. That's better. Get the right scene back. Okay, we are back. Got some more water. Check some of the other stream stuff. So, we are back at it. So we are gonna try and get the light yellow on this left forewing. Is that how you call it? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I have to be careful doing the top. These top wings versus the bottom wings. There we go. There we go. That's looking pretty good. On the inside, we're still trying to let dry. We're still gonna have to do a hard yellow on there. So, okay. Next up, we need more yellow over here. Yes. Hey, Deb. How's it going? Yes, this is will probably be your favorite part. We're doing lots of yellow here. Go. Because this is the goal that we're working on. But we're starting with white. This is the inside, that's what we're starting with. And we've got a spare wing that we're working on here. and we're kind of stepping down the color from white to white yellow to yellow burnt sienna, and we may be ending with just plain old burnt sienna or the yellow burnt sienna. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see. No, I'm actually gonna skip this song. I like this one better. There you go. Alrighty. So next up, we got this yellow burnt sienna. And at first, I was like, doesn't this kind of make like a sickly yellow color? It actually doesn't. It comes out looking a lot more gold than you might anticipate. There we go. But we are actually dry brushing this. But we're doing a pretty heavy dry brush. This is going pretty much almost over the entire wing. We're doing it pretty lightly so that we still keep that white underneath and we still keep that, shall we call it, kind of internal glow. I don't want to overdo the arms here. So that's where I kind of messed up on my initial one. But I remember we said we were going to be trying to keep the interior of the wings a little bit more bright as a nice contrast for the rest of the piece and composition. So let's try to actually remember to do that. I think that works. I don't want to overdo that there, but I think that's gonna work. Cool. And I think, oh, wasn't that? Oh yeah, that was some burnt sienna. That's right. So we give that just a second to dry, and while we're doing that, see, this is why it's nice to have multiple things to be working through. Okay, we're gonna need this again. And this. I don't know why I have this. Why do I have this out? There we go. So now we're just putting some, doing that yellow base that we did on that extra wing right here. So this song is comes from a very interesting game. I have not played it significantly, but it's called Nier Automata. And it's a game that really attempts to ask, and then to a certain degree even answer, some philosophical questions. Like a lot of the characters are named after philosophers in weird ways. The main character is named To Be, in reference to Hamlet's To Be or Not To Be. And it asks a lot of questions about existence, and that's something I just love about video games, is that, yes, this is like an anime-inspired, like, mashup of action and stuff like that. but they decide to just go hardcore into the philosophy of things, which is just super cool. I think gaming has gotten to the point where you can really... We've come a long way from Pong, let's put it that way. I love that gaming can ask those questions now. Another one of my favorites is Spec Ops: The Line. And it really has to do with self-delusion, PTSD, stuff like that. It is very well written. The game itself, nothing to write home about, but the story, oh buddy. It's one of the few games that I sat down, played, and when I got to the end of it, I just sat down and played it in one sitting because it's only about a 4-hour story. And when I got to the end, I just sat there and just like looked at my screen and just like, what did I just play? Because it was crazy. In the best way possible. I think games have quite the unique opportunity to really delve into some stuff, because it requires engagement from the player, and like the player is actually playing, and that involves a level of engagement and participation, and that's the big thing, of engagement and participation from the player that you don't get from other mediums. I'm not saying that other mediums are inferior, but that's just something that's uniquely solid about video games. And so, when you have games like Spec Ops: The Line or Nier Automata that actually does more than try to just, you know, tries to be more than Mario rescuing Princess Peach, it's really cool to see that. Alright. That's done. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we are going to dry brush the burnt sienna on here, but we're only going to do it on the back side because I want to keep the front side brighter, as a better kind of silhouette. Okay, so we're just throwing on just a little bit of burnt sienna to give it a little bit of crunch, a bit of contrast. Take a little bit here. There we go. I think that's pretty good. There we go. And we'll keep this pretty warm on the we'll keep it pretty warm on the inside. I love how this kind of comes out in almost like a fall leaf aesthetic. Still trying to keep that white in there. There we go. And I think that's her wing. That's the inside. We're going to keep that pretty bright. Although I do think a little bit of this yellow here, kind of on the front side, and then maybe a little bit more of this more yellowy color here. So it's kind of like cooling as it gets to the back. Is that gonna work? Is that gonna work? Did I just mess up my plan? I don't know. We'll see. That's not too bad. I think that could work. I like that. I think that's gonna work. Okay, one wing done. Ha. I've been watching a lot of Hot Ones recently, and so whenever I'm saying like, I got a wing done, I'm just like, not a hot wing, not a hot wing. Also, by the way, if you've never seen the Hot Ones interviews, you really should. They're really unique, and I think Sean Evans, who is the interviewer, is possibly like the best interviewer I have ever seen. People consistently love him. And he asks really good questions, and all while eating increasingly hotter and hotter hot wings. Alright, so as I said, we're trying to keep the inside of these wings a little bit lighter than what's on the outside. So let's not overdo it here. I'm fine with the outer edges being a little bit more. The inside, I want to keep that pretty relaxed. There we go. There we go. So remember when I said that this was a little bit messy? Can I have to do the wings first? This is why. I'm getting yellow all over the place. So something I like about this technique is that you can really control how far the paint goes and how the fade works by how much paint you initially put on. So if you want a really gentle, really light fade, just don't put much paint on there and not much gets dragged back up into it. Yeah. I'm not gonna look at that. Okay. Let's start going with the dark yellow then. Yellow. Yellow. I don't want to overdo the dark yellow. So just getting the very edges here. we go. Get the real yellow in there. Make sure it does actually fade. No, I'm trying to kind of mirror, or not mirror, silhouette this to a certain degree. Okay, all that. Go. I have to admit, I am really liking how this looks. It took me a long time to figure out these techniques. A lot of really bad looking, very botched attempts. Okay, before I move on, I think... Yep. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think what we're gonna do is darken up these kind of arms of the wings, especially on the top side here. Probably not on this bottom wing, I don't really need it. Just to give some distinction, and then we'll throw some of that kind of burnt sienna yellow in there too. A little bit of your normal yellow. Again, don't want to overdo it. Just to darken it up a little bit. Okay, then let's take some of this. Let's get this going. I have completely forgotten what song this is. What game this song is from, but I do like the sound of it. Okay, there we go. We kind of darkened up these top edges here. I think I overdid it on this one. So I think what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna do our best to use white to just kind of rebase this. It's okay if a little bit peeks through. It's just we kind of got it a little bit too dark. I think it's really important to have white on the front edge of this. Yeah, you can mostly see. There we go. I will say, this new camera setup makes it a lot easier for me to not go off frame, but it doesn't make me immune to that. Is this a Destiny 2 song? I think it's Destiny 2. There we go. So that's gonna start to dry out. I need to, speaking of drying out, I need to make sure my brushes don't get too bad. Okay. Now we are on to this heavy application of this yellowed, burnt sienna and yellow. On the outsides at least. Definitely doing it on the wingtips. Don't want to overdo it. Kind of brushing it up everywhere else too. I think the contrast and the fade from the very edges of the wings up to the white is just kind of like what makes this work. Okay. I'm going to go on to the insides here. Don't want to overdo it. Especially do it on the very outside edge wingtips. Really leave that inner glow going. That should do it. Now for the burnt sienna on the outside. Let's really darken this up subtly, but we're still go. I think those match pretty well. And I think to kind of match what I have going on here, get that yellow there. This yellow back here. And then this one right on the back. Okay, and I think, yeah, that matches a lot better. Cool. Okay. Whew. There we go. I like how it's a little darker on the back, a little brighter in the front. Liking the look of this. I think it might actually be time to glue this. Oof. Yeah, I think that's, yeah, it's time to glue this. Okay, this is the scary part. Let's clean this up just a little bit, clean the join. All right, down to super glue. Hopefully. Everything that I need. Five 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Ooh, yeah, that did not bind right. Man, I haven't been having problems with super glue recently. Is that gonna work? So this is the challenging part, is that after I glue it, I'm gonna have to like blend that joint. And I can do it a little bit, but that is a hard angle to get into. But look at that. She's coming together. Ooh, now that I think about it, this might actually not be the best time to glue it. I may need to do the breastplate and stuff first. Maybe the hair? I'm not sure. See, I'm trying to get a sense for the hair here. That might work. Now I think about it, I think I may need to pop this joint, because I need to be able to do a lot more than this. I need to be able to get a better angle, and I think I need to clean up this joint a little bit too. Primarily, I think I got my joining peg the wrong scale, so it's not wanting to sit fully. Let's try that. Yeah, that's not sitting well at all. Man, what is going on here? What's that, old glue? That is old glue getting in the way. Well, I think we're getting close to being done here today. I think I just wanted to get most of the wings done. Get a good chunk out of the way. Do the parts I know how to do. See if this will actually sit better this time. Wait, I need to actually clean out the socket. There you go, that's better. Yeah, that's gonna sit a lot better once I ultimately glue it. Okay. Well, I think we're just about done. Wings are just about completed. Yeah. I'll just have to glue this in later, which will be easy peasy now that I have this seated better, but I have some other angles I need to do before I get it all the way done. So, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to be finishing this one on stream or not, because there's going to be a lot of detail work that I'm just not going to be able to pay attention to if I'm streaming. But yeah, I'll definitely have pictures of this up on Instagram when I'm done. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed the stream. Yeah. Last little look. She's looking pretty good. I'm excited. Alright. Have a good day.